Before we start, I need your help. Give me feedback in the comments to help me know what's working in these stories. What's right or what's wrong. And now we begin. We were supposed to be the first ones there. That's what the coordinator told us. Just the four of us, a week ahead of the campers, helping set up the trails and airing out the cabins after years of disuse. No other counselors. No staff. Just us and the keys. So when we pulled into Camp Wanapa at dusk and saw the lights already on in the mess hall, we figured someone beat us to it. The door was unlocked. The fireplace was lit. And the counselor sign-in sheet was already pinned to the corkboard with a dull red tack. The sheet was old school. Lines for names, dates, time of arrival. Only, all four of our names were already there. In order. Correct spelling. And each one was crossed off in red. Not scribbled. Crossed. A perfect line through each full name, like someone had done it with a ruler and care. Danny looked at me. Did someone check us in already? Not unless there's another Amy V. Toller with that exact middle initial, I said, pointing to my name. And that's my signature. It was. I don't write cursive anymore. But that signature? It was my old one, how I used to sign my homework back in 9th grade. No one laughed. The room didn't seem to want us laughing. We split off to check the cabins. Our gear was still in the truck, but the counselor dorms were unlocked. I'll never forget the moment we walked into mine. The smell hit first, cedar, dust, and something like dried sweat. The bed had sheets. The footlocker was open. And inside was a set of clothes folded military tight. A hoodie I hadn't seen in 10 years. Threadbare, black, with the sleeves chewed from stress. I held it up, heart thudding. There was a hole in the right sleeve. The same hole my dog chewed the night she got hit by a car. Except that hoodie had gone with her, buried in her bed. I never saw it again. Until now. Guys! I called, voice hoarse. Check your bunks. One by one, they returned with their own relic. A bandana. A half-melted charm bracelet. A t-shirt from a concert none of us admitted going to. None of us had brought these things. But we remembered owning every single one, and they were worn exactly as we remembered them. That night Danny didn't sleep. She just stared at the mess hall from the porch, watching the firelight flicker behind the windows. We swore no one else was there, but we all agreed on one thing. None of us crossed off our own names. Around 3 a.m., I stepped outside to pee and heard footsteps in the gravel. Not walking, running. I turned. Nothing. But back in the dorm, one bed was empty. Mike's. No note. No prints. Just the door cracked and his bunk cold. We ran to the mess hall. The sign-in sheet had changed. Mike's name was gone. Not erased. Gone. The rest of ours? Still there. Still crossed off. And the tack in the corner was redder than before. Now for our second story. We didn't break in. We just walked around the old camp's fence line, same way we did every summer growing up. This time, there was no one to stop us. No staff, no parents, just a rusted lock and a hole in the chain link wide enough to slip through. Kayla and I hadn't been back to Camp Vale since 2009. Felt like trespassing, but also like coming home. The cabins were collapsed in places, roofs caved from storms or rot. The lake was a black sheet of still water. And the mess hall? Boarded, but loose enough to pry open. I didn't want to go in. But Kayla did. She always did. Inside, it smelled like wet wood and ghosts. Dust curled in every beam of sunlight. The old clipboard still hung behind the front desk. Same one we used to sign in on the first day of every summer. Kayla grabbed it. Then froze. Tom. There were only 2 names on the page. Kayla Wren, 1:07 p.m. Thomas Wren, a 1:08 p.m. Today's date. I felt cold all over. We hadn't signed it. But the handwriting? Mine. And hers. Not similar. Identical. Even the loop in the W, that Kayla stopped doing after college. We stared at the clipboard like it might blink. Then something creaked above us. We bolted out the back and ran toward the lake trail, but it wasn't there. None of the old trails were. Instead, a brand new gravel path had appeared, splitting the woods in a direction we didn't recognize. Clean edges. Fresh dust. Like someone laid it this morning. We followed it. I don't know why. At the end of the path, nestled in a clearing we swore didn't exist when we were kids, stood a new cabin. Bigger than the old ones. Fresh paint. But no windows. The door was open. Inside, everything was reversed. Beds on the wrong wall. Bunks numbered backward. Signage in the same camp font, but mirrored. On each bunk, a folded uniform. Mine said, Camp Staff. Kayla's said, Coordinator. In the corner, a file cabinet sat half open. I pulled a folder. It was our personnel file. Printed in advance. Not filled out, filed. Already categorized, sorted by role. And the photo paper clipped to mine? Me. Shirt wrinkled. Hair uncombed. Just how I'd looked when we stepped through that fence. Stamped in the corner, re-entry approved. That's when I noticed the calendar pinned behind the desk. It was flipped to 2009. Same month. Same week. I turned to Kayla. Do you remember signing out? She looked pale. We hadn't. We'd left camp that year during the thunderstorm evacuation. The staff said records were damaged in the storm. But the camp had closed a week later. For good. We thought it was weather. Now I wasn't sure it had ever closed. Not really. And in the distance, a bell rang once. Then again. Morning drills. But we were the only ones on staff. And now for our third story. Day 1 of setup week, and it was just the 4 of us, Kate, Jordan, Leo, and me. We'd signed the contracts, got the early bonus, and agreed to come up and prep the site before the real madness of summer began. No kids. No other staff. Just us and the empty woods. Except the camp wasn't really empty. It started with the sign-in sheet. Kate found it tacked to the dining hall bulletin board. Same place it always was, only the paper looked brand new. Still smelled like fresh toner. It had a printed grid, 14 counselor slots. Every single one was filled in. Each name was followed by a checkmark in black ink. And none of the names were ours. I scanned the list twice. No Kate, no Jordan, no Leo, no me. Just a column of strangers, and all of them already marked present. Leo laughed it off. Maybe it's last year's. Or a prank. But the date in the corner was this week. Printed. Not handwritten. Later that day we heard the bell ring. No one pulled the cord. The rope was still looped around the pole. The bell just rang once, loud and sharp, echoing through the trees. Maybe it's wind, Jordan said. There was no wind. That night, Kate swore she saw someone walking between the cabins. Tall, male figure. Headlamp glowing white. But when she followed it, it disappeared behind cabin 6. No one lived in cabin 6. It had been gutted for repairs. Next morning, Leo found bunk assignments nailed to each door. Same 14 names from the sheet. Split into pairs. Each cabin had someone assigned to it, including ours. I looked at our cabin door. Next to my name, another name had been scrawled in faint pencil. Mason. I hadn't met a Mason. But that night, I found a worn duffel bag in the closet with a patch that read, Property of M. Lake. And a pair of boots in my size already under the bed. The next morning, the bell rang again. 5 times. Then stopped. Kate went missing that night. Not a sound. Not a scream. Just a cold bed, and her name no longer on the roster taped to the bulletin board. Instead, a new name had been added. Mason Lake. Checked off. In red ink. And I swear I heard 2 sets of footsteps behind me as I ran back to the cabin.